All right. You probably heard from your student here at school about how they did on their benchmark assessments. Now, here at the beginning of the school year, in the middle of the school year, and at the end of the school year, we typically do some different assessments on your student. Those assessments are used to guide our instruction and to give your student the extra help they may or may not need in reading. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit today to help break down that information because some of you might not be as familiar as others on what those numbers mean. For example, let's take a look at the A reader. This is a chart that we use to determine how your student did on the A reader assessment. Now, what is the A reader? The A reader tests your student's comprehension. So if we take a look at this, we see we have kindergarten all the way to 6th grade. We have the fall assessment chart, the winter, and we have the spring. So let's take a look. Let's pretend your student is in 4th grade. So we look at 4th grade and we go across. So in 4th grade, we expect that at the beginning of the school year, your student will receive a 500 or higher on the A reader. If your student does not receive a 500 or higher on the A reader, that means that your student is struggling to understand grade level text. So we would then be giving your student another assessment. Again, in 5th grade, if we go across, we expect that your student will read a score of 509 or higher. And in 6th grade, we expect your student to read a 516 or higher. So this is the beginning of the school year scores that we're looking at. So let's say your student received a score of that grade or higher. That means that your student is reading at grade level, which is awesome, which will encourage them to keep reading. They'll be reading at home and at school and hopefully reading and falling in love with different texts. If your student did not meet those scores, then we give them another assessment to figure out what is exactly the struggle that he or she is having. So we give them something called the CBM, which is a fluency assessment. And this assessment can tell us two things. It can tell us if your student is able to decode words, meaning they can break down words that are difficult and accurately break down the words so that they understand the sounds that the letter combinations make and read the word accurately. If the student is able to do that, then we look at their fluency, which isn't just how fast the student reads, though the score does break down into words per minute. We also are looking and listening for their expression. Do they understand what they're reading? Are they able to raise their voice at question marks? Do they read appropriately when the sentence has an exclamation mark? Are they breaking the sentence up correctly? All those things are super important to help them understand what they're reading. So if a student did not meet the grade level expectation on the first test, the A reader, then we give them this test. So let's take a look. If your student is in 4th grade, we would hope that they can read 116 words per minute at the beginning of the school year. And if they are in 5th grade, we hope that they can read 133 words per minute. And in 6th grade, we hope that they can read 142 words per minute. So let's say that they don't meet that number of words per minute. Then that student will be placed in an intervention for fluency, where they'll work on expression, they'll work at pausing at the commas and periods, and they'll work on picking up that pace so that they can understand what they're reading at an appropriate rate. So let's take a look at what we do here. So we have a building-wide intervention time where every student gets a little bit of what they need in reading or math. So let's take a look at what happens. First, all students, grades 4 through 6, they take the A reader. We want to know, can they understand grade level text? If they score at the appropriate grade level, then they will continue their intervention time either in math if they need help or in some extension activities where they get to pull some different skills from science and social studies or in writing. If they did not meet that requirement on their comprehension assessment, then we need to give them another assessment to determine where they are struggling most. If we find out that through that fluency assessment that they're struggling to decode, they will get help on learning how to decode challenging words until that they meet the expected um, percentage of words correct. Then if they master that, they'll move to a fluency intervention where we work on their expression and their rate. We work on these two skills so that we can improve their overall reading so that they understand what they're reading, and then they can later on meet the grade level expectation for comprehension. So this is just a quick tutorial on what those numbers mean. I hope that was helpful to you, so when you're at parent conferences or when your student tells you their number and they come home and they're like, Mom, I read 135 words per minute today, then you know exactly what that means. So take another look at those charts so that you can familiarize yourself with what those numbers mean. You know, how is your child doing at comprehension? How are they doing at fluency? What might be the best thing to help them with at home. So I hope this was helpful to you. Please don't hesitate to contact anybody here at the school. We would love to help you better understand the tests, better give ideas on how you can help your student at home. Thank you.